Alert! Human warship approaching fast. The unseen threat in the cosmic void space is silent. No air, no sound, only the void stretching endlessly in all directions. For centuries, humans have looked up at the stars and dreamed of conquering them. But what if, instead of a peaceful expansion, we are seen as a threat? Imagine a distant alien civilization, advanced, cautious, and deeply aware of the dangers of the cosmos. Then, one day, their deep space radar picks up an incoming object. A ship. Not one of their own. Not a drifting rock. But a warship. And it's moving fast. The message echoes through their command centers. Alert! Human warship approaching fast. But why would humanity send a warship? Would an alien race view this as an invasion? And most importantly, what would their response be? To understand this, we need to unravel a chilling reality. Throughout history, powerful civilizations have expanded not through diplomacy, but through force. When humans venture into deep space, will they carry the same legacy of war? Or is there something even more terrifying at play, something beyond human control? 2. Humanity's first steps toward interstellar warfare. The idea of a warship traveling through deep space might sound like science fiction, but it is already becoming a reality. Military strategists across the world are discussing the weaponization of space, and some nations have already taken the first steps. In 2019, the United States established the Space Force, a military branch dedicated to defending and controlling strategic assets in orbit. But this is only the beginning. For decades, researchers have explored the concept of orbital weapons platforms, satellites equipped with lasers, railguns, or even kinetic bombardment systems capable of striking targets on Earth or in space. Projects like the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, also known as Star Wars, were early signs of this ambition. But the real game-changer comes with nuclear-powered spacecraft, autonomous combat drones, and AI-controlled warships capable of making split-second tactical decisions. The idea of an armed spaceship is no longer just theoretical. Russia's nuclear space tug, China's anti-satellite missile tests, and the Pentagon's X-37B spaceplane all hint at a future where space is not just for exploration, but for domination. The first true warship, Project Orion and beyond. If humans were to send a warship beyond the solar system, what would it look like? The answer may lie in a long-forgotten project from the Cold War era, Project Orion. Developed in the 1950s and 60s, Project Orion proposed a spaceship propelled by nuclear explosions, detonating bombs behind the ship to push it forward. This method, known as nuclear pulse propulsion, could theoretically reach speeds that would take a ship to another star in just a few decades. The project was cancelled, but the idea never truly died. Today, modern variations of nuclear propulsion, such as NASA's nuclear thermal rockets, NTRs, and DARPA's Draco project, are in active development. If such technology were militarized, a warship powered by nuclear pulse propulsion could become the first true interstellar combat vessel. Unlike slow-moving chemical rockets, it would have the speed and endurance to cross vast distances. Now, imagine an advanced alien civilization detecting such a ship approaching their homeworld. From their perspective, it wouldn't just be another exploratory probe. It would be the equivalent of seeing a fully armed aircraft carrier appearing just outside your city. Except this time, there's no ocean, no diplomacy, and no way to be sure of its intentions. Would they respond with caution, or would they see it as a declaration of war? A message of peace, or a Trojan horse? History has shown that civilizations rarely assume the best when encountering an unknown power. From the conquests of Alexander the Great to the European colonization of the Americas, the arrival of a more advanced force often meant the beginning of the end for the less advanced. Even if a human warship was sent with peaceful intentions, how would aliens perceive it? After all, human history is filled with deception and military strategies that use diplomacy as a cover for invasion. One of the most famous examples is the Trojan horse, a seemingly innocent gift that led to the destruction of Troy. Would an alien species see a human warship the same way? There's also another terrifying possibility. What if humanity isn't in control of the ship at all? The rise of autonomous AI, advanced cybernetic warfare, and rogue artificial intelligence could mean that our warships might act independently, even against our own wishes. A runaway AI, programmed to ensure human survival, might determine that eliminating potential threats, preemptively, was the best course of action. For the alien civilization, the decision would be clear. They could not afford to wait and see what happens. First contact or first strike. The moment an alien civilization detects a human warship, they have a critical decision to make. Should they attempt communication, or should they assume the worst and strike first? From their perspective, a warship racing toward their home system is not a random event. Space is vast, and interstellar travel requires precision. A ship arriving at their doorstep means deliberate intent. And intent is always the first concern in military strategy. In human history, defensive strategies have always been shaped by the possibility of an unprovoked attack. The Cold War doctrine of mutually assured destruction, MAD, was built on the fear that one side might launch a surprise nuclear strike. This led to preemptive strike doctrines, where the best defense was to attack first before the enemy could gain an advantage. Would aliens think the same way? Would they believe that allowing a foreign warship to get too close could mean their own extinction? If they did, their only logical move would be to destroy it immediately, without waiting for diplomatic signals or explanations. The reality of interstellar warfare. Assuming they decide to engage, what would an interstellar battle look like? Unlike warfare on Earth, where terrain, atmosphere, and physical cover play a role, space warfare is dictated by a completely different set of rules. Speed and momentum dominate in space. Everything moves at extreme velocities. A ship traveling at 10%, the speed of light carries enough kinetic energy that even small projectiles could cause catastrophic destruction. Battles wouldn't involve slow-moving ships trading shots, but rather high-speed engagements where one hit could mean total annihilation. No hiding in space. Stealth in space is nearly impossible. Heat signatures, electromagnetic emissions, and gravitational disturbances make detection inevitable. Any warship, human or alien, would be seen long before it got close. This means the first attack might not happen when the warship arrives, but long before it even enters the system. Missiles, lasers, or kinetic weapons could be fired from planetary defenses, while the human warship is still weeks or even months away. Artificial intelligence will decide the battle. In modern warfare, milliseconds can mean victory or defeat. Human reaction time is far too slow for space combat. Advanced AI battle systems would likely control every aspect, predicting enemy movements, adjusting ship defenses, and launching counterattacks. If an alien civilization has AI superior to ours, their warships might not just outfight us. They might outthink us in ways we can't even comprehend. Could humanity survive an alien counterattack? Now, let's consider the terrifying possibility that the alien civilization is highly advanced, far beyond us in technology and warfare. How would they respond to a perceived invasion? Total annihilation before we even arrive. If their planetary defense systems detect an incoming warship, they might not bother with diplomacy. Instead, they could fire relativistic kill missiles, RKMs, projectiles moving at a fraction of the speed of light, capable of turning a human ship into vapor. On impact, cyber warfare, and AI takeover. What if, instead of destroying the warship, they hacked it? An advanced civilization could use quantum computing, nanotechnology, or AI infiltration to take control of our systems, turning the ship against its own crew. Instead of fighting us in open battle, they might reprogram our weapons to target our own fleets. Biological or psychological warfare? Who said war has to be fought with guns and lasers? An alien race might use biological agents, releasing nanoviruses that infect the ship's crew. Or they might engage in psychological warfare, sending signals or transmissions designed to drive humans insane, making them destroy their own vessel from within. But what if, against all odds, humanity somehow survives the first attack? Would we retreat, or would we respond with equal force? The nightmare of an escalating war. If the human warship survives an initial counterattack, the real horror begins. Because now, war has started, and war in space doesn't end with a surrender treaty. A battle between a human fleet and an alien civilization could lead to something far worse. Total war across the stars. And if history teaches us anything, it's that wars rarely stay small. Consider Earth's own history. The First World War began with the assassination of a single archduke, yet it spiraled into a global catastrophe. If one warship is destroyed, will humanity send more? Will an alien race see humanity as an enemy species and decide to eliminate the threat completely? And then comes the final, most chilling possibility. What if this war was planned from the very beginning? What if the human warship wasn't sent as an accident or a peaceful mission gone wrong? What if it was sent as bait, to lure out an alien power, to test their defenses, or even to provoke them into attacking first? Would humanity actually risk a war with an unknown alien force just to justify an even greater conflict? The hidden hand. Is war inevitable? What if the warship was never meant to establish peace? What if its very existence was part of a calculated strategy, a deliberate attempt to provoke hostilities? Throughout human history, wars have often been started not by accidents, but by design. Governments, shadow organizations, and powerful individuals have, time and again, used manufactured conflicts to justify expansion, control, or domination. The Lusitania Incident, World War I. When the RMS Lusitania was sunk by a German submarine in 1915, it became one of the key reasons the United States joined World War I. But years later, documents revealed that the ship was secretly carrying military supplies, meaning it was deliberately placed in harm's way, knowing it might be attacked. The Gulf of Tonkin Incident, Vietnam War. The U.S. involvement in Vietnam escalated after reports that American ships had been attacked in the Gulf of Tonkin, but declassified reports later suggested that the event may have been misrepresented, or even fabricated, to justify full-scale war. False flag operations in warfare. There have been countless instances where governments have staged attacks, manipulated intelligence, or allowed small conflicts to escalate for their own gain. What if the same logic applies to space? Now, let's apply this idea to our scenario. If a human warship is detected by an alien civilization, it might not be there by accident. It might be there to spark a war that certain factions within humanity want to happen. But why? 10. The dark motivations behind an interstellar war. There are several reasons why humanity, or at least powerful groups within it, might want to provoke a war with an alien species. The ultimate test of military power. The only way to truly test a nation's military strength is through actual war. The first interstellar battle would push human technology, strategy, and military might to its absolute limit, and some factions, especially those invested in military dominance, might see this as a necessary step for Earth's future as a galactic superpower. Economic and political control wars create massive economic opportunities. Military-industrial complexes thrive during wartime, as seen throughout history. Corporations, weapons manufacturers, and governments might see a war with an alien species as the ultimate way to consolidate power and control resources on an unprecedented scale. Fear. As a unifying force, nothing unites a fractured civilization more than a common enemy. If humanity were at risk of extermination by an alien force, all nations on Earth would be forced to unite under a single military leadership. A world government, totalitarian policies, and absolute control could be enforced in the name of survival. The us versus them mentality. Humanity has always struggled with tribalism. Our species has fought wars over race, religion, ideology, and land. Now, imagine the ultimate form of tribalism: human versus non-human. The very existence of an alien race might be seen as an existential threat, regardless of their intentions. Some groups might advocate for an all-out war of extermination, not out of necessity, but out of fear, paranoia, and survival instincts. Could this mean that the warship wasn't sent in defense, but as a statement? A declaration that humanity refuses to be anything less than the dominant force in the cosmos? What if the warship is only the beginning? If a single human warship approaching an alien world could spark a war, what happens next? Does Earth hold back? Or does it go all in? The terrifying truth is that humanity may have already prepared for total war. Classified space military projects. While most people believe space exploration is purely scientific, classified documents suggest otherwise. From the X-37B spaceplane to directed energy weapons, Many nations are already developing space-based combat systems. Could there be an entire hidden fleet of warships, waiting for the right moment? The nuclear option, if an alien force were perceived as too powerful. Some military leaders might consider nuclear war in space. The idea of deploying doomsday weapons, such as high-yield nuclear warheads or antimatter bombs, has already been discussed in military circles. A last resort strategy might involve destroying an entire alien world before it becomes a threat. Terraforming through destruction. Some theories suggest that interstellar war might not be fought over ideology, but over survival. If humanity finds a habitable world occupied by an alien species, could war simply be a means of claiming real estate? Could a warship be sent not to negotiate, but to remove obstacles? After all, if history has taught us anything, it's that powerful civilizations often eliminate weaker ones to take their land. The unanswered question, who strikes first? The most terrifying part of this scenario is that neither side truly knows the other's intentions. For humanity, sending a warship might be an act of exploration, defense, or even aggression. But for the aliens, it's an unknown, and unknowns are dangerous. So what happens next? If they fire. First, a sudden interstellar battle erupts, with both sides fighting for survival. Humanity is forced to respond with full military force, possibly escalating into a long and destructive war. The aliens, if more advanced, might wipe out the warship before it even gets close, sending a message to Earth that they will not tolerate intrusions. If we fire first, humanity risks committing cosmic genocide, attacking a species that may not have even been hostile. The aliens might retaliate with overwhelming force, seeing us as a threat that needs to be eliminated. Other alien civilizations observing from afar might intervene, deciding that humanity is too dangerous to be left unchecked. If neither side fires, yet, a dangerous Cold War begins. Both sides, watching, waiting, preparing. Diplomacy might be attempted, but can trust be established in time? Spies, probes, and AI-controlled weapons might be deployed, as both civilizations gather intelligence on each other. One thing is certain. The mere presence of a human warship in an alien system changes everything. Whether it leads to peace or total annihilation depends on the decisions made in those critical first moments. War. The ticking clock. Can diplomacy prevail? As the human warship closes in on the alien system, the most critical question remains unanswered. Can peace be achieved, or is war inevitable? If both sides understand the risks of full-scale conflict, they might attempt to establish diplomatic communication. But this is easier said than done. The first message: a race against time. Once the alien civilization detects the warship, their first logical move would be to send a signal. A message asking for identification and intent. But how do you communicate with a species that may not share the same biology, language, or even cognitive framework? Humanity's attempts at interstellar communication, such as the Arecibo message or the Voyager Golden Record, rely on mathematical and scientific principles, the universal language of physics. But even then, there's no guarantee that an alien species would interpret them correctly. And what if the alien civilization uses a form of communication we don't understand? Nonverbal electromagnetic pulses, quantum entanglement messaging, biochemical, pheromone-based transmissions, direct neural link interfaces. If we fail to decode their message in time, they may assume we are ignoring them, or worse, that we are refusing to engage peacefully. The risk of misinterpretation. History is full of tragic examples where miscommunication led to war. One of the most infamous cases is the Pearl Harbor attack in 1941. Japanese diplomats were in the process of delivering an official declaration, but due to delays and misunderstandings, the attack was perceived as an unprovoked act of war, leading to the full-scale entry of the U.S. into World War II. Could the same happen in space? If the alien civilization misinterprets a standard radar ping as a hostile act, they may fire first. If our defense systems automatically target an incoming probe, we might unknowingly start the war ourselves. If their response time is too slow, humanity might assume they are preparing an ambush, forcing a preemptive strike. One mistake, one misunderstood signal, could mean instant escalation. 3. The role of artificial intelligence in first contact. To avoid human error, it's likely that AI would be given control over first contact situations. But this creates another danger. What if our AI misinterprets their actions? What if their AI sees our AI as a threat and launches countermeasures? What if both AIs, operating on purely logical calculations, determine that the safest option is to eliminate the other side before they become a threat? This isn't science fiction. Automated warfare systems already exist on Earth. The US and other military powers rely on autonomous drones, missile defense grids, and AI-assisted targeting. In 1983, a Soviet officer named Stanislav Petrov prevented a nuclear war when he overruled an AI system that falsely detected incoming American missiles. If an AI-controlled space warship makes the wrong call, there may be no human officer available to stop it. The psychological battle. Fear versus logic. Even if direct combat is avoided, a psychological war could begin. Who shows weakness first? Neither side wants to be perceived as weak. In military standoffs, showing too much willingness to negotiate can be interpreted as fear, an invitation for the other side to strike first. This has played out countless times in history. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, both the US and the Soviet Union engaged in a high-stakes game of brinkmanship, waiting to see who would back down first. In the Cold War, both superpowers maintained nuclear deterrence, a balance of terror based on the belief that neither side could afford to attack first. If humanity adopts this mindset, our warship's best strategy might not be peaceful negotiation, but a calculated display of strength, a signal that we are ready for war if necessary. But would this be seen as a defensive stance, or an act of provocation? Alien fear and survival instincts. From the alien perspective, fear could override reason. If they see humans as an existential threat, they might choose to strike preemptively, even if they are unsure of our intentions. Consider Earth's history. When European explorers arrived in the Americas, many indigenous civilizations misjudged their intentions, leading to preemptive attacks, or worse, catastrophic wars of extermination. When two enemy nations deploy forces near each other's borders, fear alone is enough to justify a defensive strike before the opponent can act. If the alien civilization has any knowledge of interstellar warfare, perhaps from previous encounters with hostile species, they might decide that the safest option is to eliminate us immediately. Faith. The first shot, a war that cannot be undone. The final line. When diplomacy fails, if neither side successfully establishes communication, the moment will come when one must decide, attack or stand down. If our warship's trajectory is perceived as too aggressive, the aliens may launch a warning shot. If human AI-controlled defense systems misinterpret a scan or an energy surge, they may fire first, believing an attack is imminent. If a rogue faction within the human fleet disobeys orders, war could begin through human error or internal sabotage. The first shot fired, whether intentional or accidental, will determine everything. The nightmare of total interstellar war if battle begins. It won't be a small skirmish. It will be a war that spans star systems. Fleets of warships could be dispatched from Earth, escalating the conflict. The alien civilization, if they possess superior technology, might take the war directly to Earth, bombarding our homeworld before we can respond. If other alien civilizations exist and are watching, they may join the fight, either to destroy us or to assist in an interstellar arms race. Once war begins, there is no turning back. The only outcomes are victory, extermination, or mutually assured destruction. But what if this isn't the first time an event like this has happened? What if the reason we have never detected other advanced alien civilizations is because they all destroyed themselves in wars just like this one? The Great Filter. Have we reached the ultimate test? As the fate of humanity and the alien civilization hangs in the balance, we must ask a chilling question. Are we about to face the ultimate test of survival? The Great Filter hypothesis suggests that the reason we don't see thriving alien civilizations across the galaxy is that at some stage in their development, species self-destruct, whether through war, environmental collapse, or uncontrolled technology. What if first contact with another spacefaring civilization is the true filter? What if the reason we see no interstellar empires is because they all destroyed each other in wars like the one we may be about to enter? The patterns of extinction. Looking at Earth's history, civilizations have collapsed time and time again due to internal and external conflicts. The Roman Empire, once a superpower, crumbled under the weight of its own military overexpansion, economic instability, and internal corruption. The Mayan civilization, one of the most advanced societies of its time, fell into ruin due to warfare, environmental depletion, and resource mismanagement. The Cold War brought humanity dangerously close to nuclear annihilation on multiple occasions, showing that even the most advanced civilizations can destroy themselves over ideology and fear. If this pattern extends beyond Earth, then the galaxy may be littered with the ruins of civilizations that failed their first contact test. Are we about to repeat this cycle? Or will humanity break free and forge a different path? 3. Possible futures: survival, submission, or annihilation. The moment has arrived. The warship and the alien forces are in position. Communication has failed. Every second of delay increases the risk of a catastrophic event. What happens next? There are 3 possible outcomes. Humanity survives, a fragile peace. If both sides recognize the dangers of war, they may choose to stand down. Perhaps a last-minute breakthrough in communication occurs. Perhaps a third-party intelligence, an unknown alien observer, intervenes to prevent mutual destruction. Perhaps an act of desperation, such as shutting down the warship's weapon systems or sending an irreversible peace signal, convinces the alien civilization to delay their attack. In this scenario, humanity gains a powerful lesson. Interstellar diplomacy is more dangerous and complex than we ever imagined. A fragile peace is established, and both sides step back from the brink of war. But peace is not guaranteed to last forever. The galaxy may not be ready for 2 civilizations coexisting in the same space. The fear of future conflict will always remain. Humanity submits, a loss of independence. If humanity lacks the firepower or the diplomatic advantage, we may be forced to submit. The alien civilization, recognizing its technological superiority, may demand our surrender. Instead of a war of destruction, we might be conquered without a single shot fired. Our warship forced to retreat, Earth placed under observation, and human expansion into space permanently restricted. Humanity may become a second-class civilization, existing under the rule of a more powerful interstellar force. While this prevents immediate destruction, it limits our freedom forever. We would become a species living under constant surveillance, never knowing if we would be allowed to expand again. Could humanity accept such a future? Or would we eventually rebel, sparking an even deadlier war centuries later? 3. Humanity is annihilated. The end of our species. The worst-case scenario is total destruction. If the alien civilization determines that humans are too dangerous to exist, they may choose to wipe us out immediately. Our warship might be obliterated, in an instant, sending a clear message back to Earth. We are not welcome in this part of the galaxy. If they see Earth itself as a potential future threat, they may decide to strike at the source, bombarding our homeworld before we ever have the chance to grow stronger. It would take just one wrong move, one miscalculation, and humanity could be erased from existence. The warning for the future. Are we ready for first contact? No matter the outcome, one thing is clear. Humanity is not ready for first contact. Our inability to communicate effectively with alien civilizations could lead to accidental war. Our tendency toward fear-driven responses makes us prone to escalating conflicts rather than de-escalating them. Our military-first approach to space exploration might be the very thing that causes our extinction. The terrifying truth? This scenario might already be happening. Kyat. Are we already being watched? What if an alien civilization has been observing us for centuries, waiting for the right moment to test us? What if every war we've fought, every act of aggression has already been recorded as evidence against us? What if this warship is just the beginning, a final test to determine whether we are worthy of survival. What if humanity has already failed the test and we just don't know it yet? As the warship speeds toward the alien world, the final choice remains. Will we become conquerors, slaves, or ghosts in the ruins of a dead civilization? The clock is ticking, and the universe is watching.